Hello, one and all, and welcome to Creative Spark, my YouTube show where I talk to cool people about the cool things that they are doing. With me today is somebody who only owns one top, Rich from Renegade Rolls.
Have you know, I have a wide and varied wardrobe.
It's like 10 of the same
Still,
top.
yes, I've actually got three of these. I've got three of the same one.
Nice.
Yeah, apparently it's called primal marketing. Someone was telling me, like you with your little multicolored microphone and stuff. But it's things people remember about you, even if they remember nothing else. So yeah, guy with rainbow t-shirt, that'll do.
Yeah.
And yeah, on it goes.
No, I respect it. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's a hot day in Glasgow, which is a sort of sentence that doesn't actually get said very often. But yeah, it's absolutely roasting. There's roadworks happening outside, which I'm hoping all the many noise suppressors and things will take care of. But yeah, having a good time. And I've got my rainbow light in solidarity.
There you go. We're slowly influencing all the people I'm talking to at this point as well. Rainbows for everybody.
Hell yeah.
You should see my keyboard. I'm not going to get the camera down because that will completely ruin the process. My keyboard is also just immensely bright, and then there's just a little light on my mouse because gaming stuff, apparently. I don't know. Yeah. It's pretty. It brings me joy in like a very lizard brain kind of way.
Shiny.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're not here to talk about rainbow lights. I don't think we're here to talk about that anyway. We're here to talk about...
I've got strong opinions. We can do that if you want.
What are your strong opinions on rainbow lights?
Oh, so many strong opinions on rainbow lights. Firstly, I don't use them in any other context apart from pretty background aesthetics like this. So on my needlessly overpowered keyboard with like extra buttons, I don't quite know what they do. It's just set to like plain white. There is no color, there's no joy, no sparkle there whatsoever. I like to think I'm creative in other ways, but then I look at my creativity in other ways and go, oh no.
It's very dark. That's very that's very of the UK, that style of humour, and it's something you don't get when you interview people from the US.
Yeah, so that relentless positivity. Oh, so someone said to me recently that the only limits your imagination. And I was like, oh no, that's a disaster. If the only limits my imagination, it was something entirely unrelated. But I was looking at what I was creating, and yeah, looking at like what's possible. I was like, oh, if the only limits my imagination, why is my stuff so bad? And a little moment of doubt, sort of curled up in a ball, wept for a while, and then got on with my day.
That's YouTube.
Cheers.
To be fair, I think that's just creative in general, right? Like, it's so easy to look at everything your peers are doing and just being like, but they're so good at it. Why am I so rubbish at it?
Yeah.
And everyone's at different stages and all that.
You should only be comparing yourself with yourself and all the rest of it. But then I see it's other people's art. That's what gets to me. So watching some of the people's like stuff work in progress for the Dungeon Tubers Dungeon Jam, which I'm very much looking forward to. And it's just people who are wonderful, like really good presenters, really good at YouTube, do all this stuff. And they just make amazing art in their spare time. To go, oh, I'm just going to doodle that. It's like, wow, that came out of nowhere.
It does seem unfair.
For my submission, I've delegated all that because I know that I'm not an artist. So I've hired a professional.
I respect it. From me, I think this is coming out after the event, but from me, all you're getting is text. I am it's an entirely vibes-based dungeon. So text is what you're getting. I can't afford to keep hiring artists for everything I'm doing.
No, neither can I. The trouble is, it's always nice. It's the TTRPG hobby of, oh, there's that Kickstarter backed, and oh, there's that little extra I could just get, and then it's £100 down. That was a story of this morning for me. There's a game called Mapamundi, which is just out. The PDFs are out and beautiful, and the print version's coming. Like, ooh, should I just add these limited edition prints? Of course I did, and now I'm very poor, rich by name but not by nature.
I mean, you're allowed to spend money on your hobbies. It's got to make you happy, right? It's important.
Yeah, it's not about making money. That's the other challenge.
Right. Let's pivot slightly. Segue slightly. So making money. Speaking of making money, when did you decide to start a YouTube channel?
I decided to start a YouTube channel at the start of 2024. So I've been at it for about a year and a half now. And it came about mostly through my day job, as I realized that I was doing more presentations and things, more speaking to clients and customers and stuff. And I realized that, yes, I'm good at the technical stuff of the job, but persuading people, having the having the skill to get my ideas across.
Mhm.
It's just something I hadn't practiced. I'd like not performed and I'd like say any words out loud to humans since sort of a primary school play,
Mhm.
and realizing that was sort of a really big gap in my skills and my knowledge. So I thought, with all the confidence and hubris of a straight white male, I'll do this. How hard can this be? So I started a YouTube channel initially about basically everything in my life.
Mm.
So I did one about music, guitars and bass and things
Mhm.
behind me there. And I was doing videos about a computer game I tried to make in my spare time. Equally, that hubris again. I thought, oh, that'll be easy. That was not easy. That's a very separate conversation. I did a couple of videos about some politics and activism, which I will happily go into depth on if you leave me unattended. And the last ones I did a couple of videos about TTRPGs and things. It turns out YouTube does not like it when you try and have too many different strands on one channel. With the exception of one of my viewers who I love, it's an Australian person called Age of Adventure, who's still with me, who's just this absolute crossover of all my hobbies and interests. Um, the algorithm does not like it when you have too many things to do to too many different audiences. So people who like one wouldn't like the other, and yeah, videos didn't go anywhere. So I decided after a couple of months of that to focus just on one thing. And I thought, well, what can I actually add to the conversation on? I didn't quite have the confidence to put my head above the parapet more on the politics stuff. But I thought, well, TTRPGs and things, I've got something to say and something I can usefully add, even while looking at the sea of dungeon tubers out there. I thought, well, I've got some different perspectives. I was coming at it from a different angle. And yeah, from that, Renegade Rolls was born.
Very cool. What do you feel is your like primary point of like your primary selling point, I guess, as a different person on YouTube?
Yeah. Other than being yet another straight white male with strong opinions, it's, I think the stuff that I've found that's sort of unique to me, it's almost following my own interests, my own sort of hobby within the hobby, because it's TTRPGs is such a wide thing.
Yeah.
But looking around on some other channels, you see how to be a level 5 paladin with armor class of 30, just do this exact build and stuff. That's never quite been my style. I've always been one for the narrative and the storytelling over the mechanics and the min-maxing, like at my games, and just sort of in my sort of the way I engage with the hobby. So what I did for the first year is I thought I'll just do everything about TTRPGs, see what sticks. But I realized if I look back on those videos now, so many of them are on this more narrative, more storytelling side that a couple of months ago, it wasn't really a pivot. It's more of a focus in a channel to say, this is going to be all about the stories that we can tell together with our friends.
Yeah.
Because for me, that's the unique thing that TTRPGs have, which you cannot get from a computer game, from a book, from even if you tell stories around a campfire with people, you don't get quite the same emergent story and with the same sort of randomness. And that's where I think TTRPGs are completely unique. And to my surprise, there weren't many people focusing on that. There weren't many people really diving into that side of the hobby. Lots of people gave like 1 or 2 videos to it. Lots of people gave me the sort of the guide to telling stories. But I've been really enjoying making that my focus and learning much more about it as I go. Because there hasn't been much guidance within the hobby. There's no. I've yet to see the big book of telling stories at your table.
Yeah.
So yeah, in my spare time, I'll write that book. I've had to look elsewhere, so looking within other industries, looking within other sort of parts of the world to find that inspiration. So I've had some really interesting conversations with folklorists and like, professional storytellers, looking at things like in the film industry. That's a much more mature industry than TTRPGs. What's their process for telling stories? What's their process for making things? Yeah, making things sort of into these tales which they can be confident that people will enjoy.
Yeah. Very, very cool. How do you go about choosing the specific topics you're going to be covering?
The usual method is while I'm making one video, I'll already be more excited about the next one.
Right.
That's been a common theme for a while. I'll be sort of midway through, I'll have just recorded, doing the edit, and I'll be thinking, oh, actually, we're going to be doing this one. I've got a big document, a big mega list of tons of ideas. Some are more fleshed out than others. One just says, can we tell stories from professional wrestling? I don't have any more concept than that. I don't know where that video would go, but just that little, I wonder, would that be a fun video? Others are a bit more developed. I'm sort of looking for just an interesting angle for them. But most of the ideas will come about through running a game. I'll notice anytime there's a problem or any time where something just isn't quite right. So the groups I'll tend to play with, it's almost like a self-selecting group of people who are a bit more on the narrative storytelling side rather than being full-on sort of gamerists, whatever the term is, and noticing where there's like a lull in play or noticing where things aren't quite going right and think, well, how do I solve that problem? So a couple of recent ones I did were on how to be a nasty character, how to be a liar, a thief, and one just released on how to be the light in the dark, role playing good characters like these absolute paragons of virtue. Which again, I don't think I might just not been searching hard enough, but I've not seen good advice on how do you actually pretend to be someone really nice. I mean, I like to think I'm quite nice, but yeah, that absolute sort of shining light is a real role play challenge, and sort of chatting to sort of friends and players about it, figuring out, well, why is that difficult? Why do we struggle with that? And often, I think the default is to be, I'd say a pragmatist, someone who's sort of in this world, but you're kind of acting, even though you're role playing a character, you'd be acting kind of as yourself. You'd be looking for like the opportunity to sort of do whatever benefits you. But yeah, I don't think I'm expecting anything unless I've forgotten about a Kickstarter again.
That's quite a common thing, right? Forgetting about Kickstarters, my understanding. I don't support that many things on Kickstarter. I'm really sorry. I don't support that many things on Kickstarter because I have 2 kids and very little spare money. So yeah, I don't get gifts from past me that future me gets to enjoy, unfortunately.
No, I tend to get the, hey, we're just collecting postage now. Like, what is this?
What? Who? I mean, that's part of the fun, right? Do you get much chance to actually play all of these like different RPGs and stuff that you end up backing?
I've been making a point recently. I had a bit of a new games sort of boycott for a little while, trying to make sure I played like, everything on my shelf.
Yeah,
I got through about 2/3 of them, but there's a few games I've just not
good.
found good opportunities to play. So like, I've got the My Little Pony RPG, and so many people are keen to play it, but I've just not found an opportunity for that. But some of like the big beasts, like I've got Pathfinder, never run it. And I think it's just the onboarding to games like that, to this sort of your next big RPG kind of thing, that either it needs to be a very unique concept or just multiple people have to have the drive for it.
Yeah.
But a lot of like the smaller books, and especially like sort of indie games and stuff, I'll make a point of as a minimum, a minimum reading them as they come in, and then hopefully find the opportunity to play them after. But we're having quite a lot of fun recently. I've been running open table one shots.
Okay.
So there's a place in Glasgow called the Gamer Club, which I just run open tables of. So I'm doing Mothership next Monday, and I've done, did Daggerheart, did Brindlewood Bay, which is amazing. I don't know if you had the pleasure of Brindlewood Bay.
No, unfortunately
You
not.
are a group of little old ladies solving crimes together. It's very much Murder, She Wrote.
That's very cool.
It's amazing. There's also like an eldritch horror sort of meta story happening as well.
As they should be with all old ladies. Yep.
Yeah. So it's a wild time, but I ended up running that for 10 players, and it was
cool.
It was genuinely a delight. Yeah.
How do you find running games for strangers then? Because that's essentially what you're doing there, right?
Gently terrifying. It's been the whole. I've been on a really nice little story arc, actually, of getting out my comfort zone, actually standing up in front of people. So the YouTube channel was a nice little opportunity to sort of begin that. But getting up in front of strangers and saying, "Hey, this is what's happening." So one of the other things I've done, like actually through the YouTube channel, when I started it, I realized I'm not nearly as experienced as so many of these other sort of professional GMs that people have been doing for 30 years or whatever. So I thought I would do a little video series on things I want to do to get better as a GM. So my 12-step plan.
Yeah.
In finest YouTuber sort of clickbait. I think it was this YouTuber like
We
pointing
need a list.
at a graph or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, top 12 steps. And one of those was getting better at improv. And that's one of the common themes that you'll see lots of sort of dungeon master advice is that if you've got that ability to think on your feet and just to just to
Yeah.
sort of say the next thing, so many of your problems get easier.
Mhm.
And so I took improv classes. I was a place called Glasgow Improv Theatre, or the GIT, as they prefer to be called. So it's a great name, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing classes through them and like doing shows and stuff as well. And the terror of standing up on a stage in front of 100 people with no idea what you're going to say next,
Yeah.
because it's all improvised, because you're waiting on a sort of a starter word from the audience before you even begin. That running a game in front of 10 people's nothing by comparison. It's
Makes
it's
sense.
very much sort of within that. What's the phrase? Yeah, as you step outside your comfort zone, your comfort zone gets larger.
Yeah.
And by me just going, hey, I'm just going to
Yeah.
get on stage and chat to 100 people, running for 10 is suddenly much easier. So the stress and the nerves of that, they don't really come into play anymore, because it's something I'm already experienced at, because I've done it before.
Yeah.
And I like to say you've only got to be brave once the first time you do it. Everything else, you've then got that experience to fall back on, and things are simpler and easier from then.
Makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, the specific problems of trying to run groups of strangers is I always meticulously take the time to do safety tools.
Yeah.
Because they're like anyone can rock up.
Yeah.
People have fascinating preconceptions of what TTRPGs can be.
Yeah.
They've maybe seen that one episode of The Big Bang Theory or something, and they think that's what it's going to be, even despite me saying very clearly, "Hey, we're playing Merkborg here. It's going to be a scary time." So making sure everyone's on the same page with that, and just encouraging them to talk to each other rather than to me. That's a common one of, like, often players will want to just communicate with the game master rather than each other. So I'm saying, I'll often say, I'm shutting up for 5 minutes. Figure out your plan, and I'll have a cup of tea. It's great.
I think that's something that a lot of DMing advice on YouTube focus on, as well as actually how to get your players to roleplay. And one of the easiest ways to do that as a game master is to roleplay with them. But then you need to turn them and point them at each other like a Zelda puzzle and hope that they bounce off each other properly.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really good point, actually. Getting players to interact with each other. Or one that I'll do sometimes at the start of games is, a lot of it when running with strangers is everyone there will be outside their comfort zone. Oh, it's new people; they'll be judging me.
Yeah.
So I'll tend to lead by example and just start being a bit weird, and like good weird. So things like saying, right, the party are going to wake up in the dungeon, but first we cut to the goblins who are taking bets over which one's going to live the longest. And I'll just say, yes. I reckon it's going to be that one with the sword. The others don't stand a chance. And I'll then say to the other players, your turn. What does your goblin say? And for people who are like new to the hobby and things, having permission just to be a weird little guy, permission to be just so stupid is, it's really nice. And you can see sort of barriers falling down. You can see often like the mask falling from people who have been coming to a place, admittedly a very nerdy place surrounded by every board game you can think of, but coming into that place trying to be cool. And like, oh no, I just get to be a goblin voice. and it's lovely. It's so nice.
That's really, really cool. How do you think that's improved your YouTubering?
Ooh. I've got more experiences to draw on now. For the longest time, I ran just games for my friends. So I think my story in TTRPGs is probably similar to a lot of people. So started playing for a few years, and then lockdown happened. Suddenly there were no real world adventures to go on. So let's have an adventure together. And in place of me going, I don't know, away somewhere with my friends, we fought a dragon together. We fell off a castle. We did whatever. And the thing is, we still tell those stories in the same way, as it's like, I remember when you fell off that boat. I think, hang on, is that real life or is that actually is that something in game? So having that kind of broad experiences of playing with a whole manner of different people, I think it's given me more to work with from the YouTube channel, of having understanding more people's problems. And I think one of the best things that as YouTuberists that we can do is to like help people with their problems.
Mm-hmm.
Like the most confident game master in the world probably isn't sitting on YouTube 24/7 finding niche dungeon tubers such as ourselves looking for advice and information. If you're on YouTube looking at that kind of stuff, you're probably not satisfied with the way that your games are going. Whether that's sort of a conscious thing of, right, I really want to get better. Oh, I'm going to look up. Here's some rules. Here's some great advice for running D&D 5.5, whatever it is. But it's if you're watching this kind of stuff, you're probably not 100% confident in your abilities. So I really enjoy just sharing the positivity and saying, hey, you've already done 90% of the work. Here's some advice that could help you get maybe slightly further, figure out one more thing, have another tool in your arsenal.
Yeah.
And it's a very sort of transactional way of thinking, but if we're not adding value to someone's time, why would they stick around?
Yeah, for sure.
I think it was the original. Here's one for you. It was the original sort of philosophies of the BBC, the Rethian principles of everything that they put out should either educate, inform, or entertain.
Right. The three E's.
That's actually
I know I doesn't start with E. Just shh.
No. It sounds like you need. Oh dear.
I don't want to be educated anymore. I refuse to learn anything else. I've learned enough. Thank you. That's not my official stance.
But I think those are good principles to apply sort of to what is effectively educational content online. And if I can do that while being entertaining and informing people of new stuff, then all the better.
How do you plan to continue what you're doing with the channel? Like, is there a specific path set forward, or is it just release videos as you're doing?
There's lots of fun things coming up. I'm particularly excited about Daggerheart coming out, and so I've got a few videos planned around that. One in particular will be my first ever actual play, which I'm looking forward to. Yeah, so and the question will be running Daggerheart for non-nerds. So I've got my improv friends who are going to play. For some, it'll be their first ever TTRPG, and just seeing it's going to be chaos. It's going to be glorious chaos. But I'm looking forward to that, and just my sort of excitement about getting that up and running and started. I'm hoping to do like a regular actual play as a possibly a separate channel. I'll have a think about where to put that, but it's going to be then using that as inspiration for other videos as well. So the core of the channel is very much sort of game master advice. How can we get better at telling these stories? How can we get better at just having a better time around the table? But branching out into the actual play, and there's a bit of sort of show don't tell with it as well. I talk a good game, but let's see if I actually run a good session. So it's I wouldn't say scary, because I like to think I've got a lot of good stuff covered. But actually put myself out and say, hey, here's actually how I do it, is going to be good fun. There's another one I'll be doing with a group of friends of mine who are already an actual play group. They're called Definitely Not Goblins, and they run sort of live action play. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think they were goblins until they mentioned that.
Yeah, right. Immediately. Whoa, wait a second.
Yeah, are you?
You do look a little green.
Yeah. So my question that I'll be answering in that video is, can you dungeon crawl in Daggerheart? This game, which is looking like being very much sort of story narrative centric, can you do the sort of the old school dungeon crawl? And so to help with that, I've actually picked up, I might be a bit glary in the light, that is the Keep on the Borderlands. So I'll be running that in Daggerheart. No idea how that's going to go, but should be a wonderful chaos. I'm sure of it, especially with all those not goblins.
All those not goblins. Yeah.
And then there's a longer term plan of try and get something regular, rather than like rent a studio or something, find a space to have a good setup for it, or just do it around my living room table, which is fine as well. But it would be nice to have a bit more dedicated space for that. And see where it goes from there. So looking forward to it.
Very, very cool. Was there a specific video in which you sort of realized that this was going to be something slightly more than just a hobby?
I think there's been a couple. The ones not necessarily the ones which have done well, but the ones which have like grown community and things. So
Yeah.
last August, September time, I put out a series of videos just saying I want to play with you, with Dungeon Tuber pointing at that's the one.
Yep.
And so I did that for a few systems, like D&D, Daggerheart, what were the other two? Index Card RPG and Dungeon Crawl Classics. Although we don't speak its name just now after the. I don't know if you heard the latest controversy on that one.
I haven't. I'm sure it'll hit my ears at some point.
Oh yeah, it'll just make you sad. The developers of that are partnered with some nasty people, and it's all.
Most news makes me sad.
Oh, buddy, no. No.
It's fine. I live in the UK.
Let me see. Yeah, so those little series of videos, they did terrible on the view count, but they kickstarted a little community for me because that's when I started my little Discord server and started running games just for anyone who was up for it.
Yeah.
And so initially I was just going to do one shots as a, hey, this is fun. Hey, people on the internet who seem to like what I do, and get to know folks. Because I realized in the first 2 months of the channel, I was sort of engaging with the hobby and the community. It's sort of almost like arm's length.
Yeah.
But by inviting folk in and say, hey, just come play with me, it was a great way of being a part of things and meeting more folks. So I did that. I had a really great response to it and sort of filled out each of those tables. 2 of the games ended up becoming 10 shots, and it could easily become longer campaigns if I'd not been thoughtful and go, no, actually, I don't have time in my life for this, because it was running those 2 10 shots simultaneously.
Right.
Was
which is a lot.
Yeah, quite tough. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. But it was an absolute privilege as well that some of those games were some people's first ever TTRPGs. So that's something in general that I absolutely love, is introducing people to the hobby for the first time. And hopefully I'm a good advocate for it. Hopefully I'm a good person to learn from. And I always love playing with new people, simply because they'll do things you just would not think of otherwise. I had a game, it was a while before that, and the group were fighting some fire goblins of some sort. And one of them just looked at his character and said, I'm going to use my bedroll and just smother the thing. And I've never seen that before or since. Just completely out of the blue. Just, hey, let's
smother the fire. Yeah. It's amazing.
Complete lateral thinking. Of course, I let it work because, good GMing. Of course, I'm going to allow something as cool as that.
Yeah.
But without any preconceptions, without thinking, "Ooh, I'll need to attack it with my sword."
Yeah.
And just that creativity, I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And it's actually something that's mentioned in the Discworld game, which is coming soon, and I'm very, very excited about that one.
Yeah.
Is that you can use anything on your character sheet as a stat. So you could even use your name. You can walk in and say, "Don't you know who I am?"
Right.
And if that's useful and important, then great. I think one of them is I'm sure I saw one of them said they just used their age. I said, well, I'm really old. Of course I know this. I've been around for ages.
Makes sense.
So using everything about yourself, using everything in your character, was just a really cool thing to see. And again, that's what I think I really enjoy about sort of playing with new folks and having that kind of opportunity. But yeah, back on the question, those videos of opening myself up to the community, sort of taking a bit of a leap, and then just enjoying what's come back has been brilliant. And yeah, if anyone wants to come say hello, I have a Discord server. It's really nice. The server rules are a bit weird, but I'm proud of them.
Why are they weird?
Because I'm a bit political, as are you.
It's been subtly mentioned throughout the thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't want this hobby to be a politics-free zone. I think anything where you say nope, no politics, is where you are going to be seeding ground to the people who'll be nasty and you say, oh, but you can't be political.
Yeah.
So by being very explicit on my politics and the things that I will and will not tolerate, it makes for it's quite a fiery chat sometimes. It's great fun.
Okay.
But it means also I surround myself with like-minded people. But I haven't found actually the t-shirt helps with that as well.
Yeah.
I do have other clothes. I have many other clothes. I wear them occasionally. It's
I have
great.
so many clothes.
Yeah. What kind of question's that? Of course, I've got clothes.
I know what a wardrobe is.
Yeah, yeah. They just go to another school. Shut up.
Let's go to another school. Do you not worry that having a more overt political standpoint cuts off part of your audience, or is that the point?
Um, the hobby as a whole has room for everyone. Anyone who wants to play a TTRPG, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
You will find the table that's right for you. I do this as a hobby. I do this in my spare time. I get to choose. It's one of the perks of adulthood. I get to choose who I spend my time with,
Mm-hmm.
and that's. I don't think anyone would actually say yes. Absolutely, everyone is welcome.
Yeah.
There was I don't tend to talk about controversies much on the channel because they just wither and die pretty quickly. But there was a large dungeon tuber who kind of said, "No, everyone's welcome at the table. I will not discriminate." And basically, people say, "Well, would you actually allow some like deeply problematic right wing views or whatever at your table?" And it went a bit quiet, and there was a whole non-apology and things. It was a bit awkward. I think the heart was in the right place, of sort of wanting to be welcoming for people. But for me, I have a luxury of picking and choosing, and everyone can find a space that's right for them. But I want other people to feel actively welcomed.
Mm-hmm.
I want other people to feel actively invited. So I'm proud of the fact that there's lots and lots of LGBT folks on my server, and they feel it's a safe space to be themselves. They'll choose their pronouns, or not, as the case may be. And I really enjoy. I love seeing people then connect with each other, because I find that if they've got one thing in common, chances are they've got 2 and 3 and 4, and that community. I think deliberately, because I've excluded some of the people who I would not get on with anyway. It's allowed that community to really flourish, and I'm genuinely proud of that.
No, that makes perfect sense. How did you choose your name? This is normally earlier on in the thing, but we had a couple of really good threads going. So,
I like alliteration. Back way back, in a previous life when I was a rock star, hence the guitars and basses and things. I was in a band, and one of the side projects I had was me and a friend wanted to do a little sort of music online zine thing, and we called it the Renegade.
right.
Back then, it was a nice name, and we never really got very far with it. That was a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I liked the name, and I think for a while I was. Yeah, so after the band finished, I thought, oh, what's a good name? I'll call myself Renegade Rich on the internet. That'll do. There wasn't too much thought in it. And then when it came time to name the channel, I was already calling myself Renegade Rich as a handle and things. So, Renegade Rolls, that'll do. There wasn't anything particularly inspired by the thought process. I just liked the alliteration and thought it'd be cool.
I mean, sometimes alliteration is really all you need. I love alliteration, just in general, and words. But yeah.
How did your name come about? I've been to ask you for ages.
I know they Strife. So, Strife is from Final Fantasy VII. Cloud Strife is the main character. It used to be my birth year. I chose to omit because I don't like giving more information about myself than I need to, so I swapped away from that. And then the first part, Enade, is the name of a character that myself and a friend were designing for a video game we wanted to make when we were in secondary school. Never came about, but the name, I was like, oh, this is a fun name. This is like, nobody's using this. I'll use this as my gamer tag and as my everything. And it was one of those things where I did not realize that, 20 plus years later, I would still be using it and having to try and explain where it came from.
I love that. I think the thing is, like, names and things are only strange if they're unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Like Metallica It's a
Yep.
terrible name.
Yep.
Terrible name for a metal band. When you think about it and go, what on earth were they thinking?
Yeah.
But it's been 30 plus years now, and it 40 even, yeah. But it's just because it's so familiar. It's just that's what it's called. What's the problem?
Yep.
So yeah, get as famous as Metallica, and it'll be fine.
That's all I've got to do to normalize my name.
Yep.
It's a low bar. It's fine. Maybe if I said more often, like Hetfield, maybe that would make my channel more popular. Maybe that's the secret to success.
Yes, it is. Please do that.
Shouting, more.
End of every sentence, yeah.
Yeah, every single at the end of every video.
Local fry, all the, yeah.
I'm not gonna do it. I'll my mic will explode. It's not. We're not doing it. I'd have to stand back here somewhere. Is doing this full time the aim? Chug your tea.
No.
What is the aim?
It's having. So I had to think about it when there was that first video that started doing well. I was like, oh, it's got 1,000 views. That's amazing. Oh, if I did a little graph, and it's like, oh, if I keep on doing that and that and that, then, and I did some sums. I was like, well, in order to earn a living, in order to like have a decent lifestyle from it, my average video would have to do like 100,000 views or something. And then obviously like lots of people make money through like Patreons and other means and stuff. But looking at that, I was like, well, that is, unless you are right at the very, very top there, it's not going to be sustainable, and you have to keep on working so hard at it. It's not like a business that you could then like sell on either. It's like as soon as you stop, you're just gone, done. If you watch any like the Tom Scott videos, he was, do you know Tom Scott? Talks about like science and technology and stuff. But he had a YouTube channel for a full decade, and then he stopped last year.
Right.
And it just vanished. And so the residual like earnings, whatever he'd get from that, would be pennies now. That if you want a proper career YouTubering, you need to have more to it than just making the videos. And so people have the Patreon service, people write books and all sorts. I really enjoy having multiple irons in the fire at a time. So like sort of working a day job and do sort of stuff in the evenings and things. If suddenly I found great success, say these actual plays were like, oh wow, that's even better than Critical Role. That's amazing. Which of course that's what they'll be clamoring. But if that happened, I'd maybe reassess. But I think it's something to enjoy in the moment and to enjoy for the sake of it. And I've been guilty in the past of trying to monetize my hobbies before, and then sort of coming unstuck. And I find I'll often lose the fun of something. If I have to work on it, if I have to, if it's like, well, here's how I'm making my living now, okay, and some of the joy of the creativity and just sort of having fun with it can sort of fall down. So no intention anytime soon of sort of trying to do it full time. Although I actually at the moment I'm in an interesting position, because with my day job I'm actually starting up my own business with that. And what I'm finding is that I don't have too many jobs I can usefully do on that just yet, because I'm like doing all the setup and getting all the like site and my show reel and all the rest of it going. I'm like, well, I've got more time in my day. Maybe I could just make another video. Maybe I could just like get more into TTRPG stuff. I have to keep on catching myself and say, no, that's not a way to live my life for any length of time.
That's very, very fair. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Ooh. Nothing much of my own. Obviously, please come visit my YouTube channel. It's full of lovely things. But there's a game just released that a friend George of mine has made, which is incredible. And talking about politics, it very much matches my sort of outlook on life and things. So the game's called Mapamundi, and it just released as sort of PDF versions. Came out yesterday, I believe. But it's now out, and the point of that game is that it's post-apocalyptic, but cozy and nice. But rule number one of it is you do no harm You, instead of being adventurers who adventure, or sort of fighters who fight, you are chroniclers who are trying to remap the world
Okay.
and trying to basically piece together the stories of this sort of strange new world that everyone finds themselves in. But everything about that game is beautiful. Remember how I was saying earlier that I'd spent too much money on my TTRPG habit? Well, yeah, I picked up the it was like the lovely like graphic prints and
Okay.
things. So the art's beautiful, the writing's beautiful, and yeah, that was for that game. But yeah, seeing all that come together is wonderful, and I've played it a few times. I actually did a review on my channel for it, and it was like, this is just my kind of game. Everything about it is just so good. And the folks that made it, yeah, George and the others deserve yeah, great big shout out. And I'm so curious to see what they do next. It's gonna be fun.
Very cool. Thank you so much for finding time to come on for this.
You're
It's
very
appreciated.
welcome. Yeah, and I'll see you. I'll see you on the internet, I suppose.
Me? No, I'm never on the internet. You can't find me anywhere. That doesn't seem
No.
right. We're going to wave at the camera now, and that's
All right.
that.
Yeah, I'm gonna wave so fast it's blurry. Here we go.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll do the same. Ready?
All right. Oh.